A lot of good food.
Yeah, a lot of good food too. We all have to cook. That's one thing that people want us to do. Okay, topsy-turvy. Okay, what happened is in Malaysia, I'm an art director in Alberta in advertising. So I work a lot. And I usually, in my day, I would do a lot of advertisement for commercials. And by night, I'm a changed person. I do ceramics. So yeah, it's kind of similar. Everyone might think, but actually it's different because in commercials, you do things for your clients. You do what the client wants. But in ceramics, it gives me the equilibrium. This is the reality of it. So this is what I do for advertisement. But these are the better ones that I will show you. These are the ones that I use paper to construct. So yeah, these are the ones that I really like. So the ugly ones I won't show you. Yeah. So these are 3 print ads that we did for broadband. And that too on top are constructed out of toys. So it's there's more play in the pack for SPCA. Yeah, and at the bottom, I love to doodle. So I've got a studio to allow me to doodle entire wall and floor and everywhere, and photograph it as it is, instead of doing digital imaging. So yeah, I live in two worlds. So in a way, I find that a quote by Anais Nin is really good, where art actually gives you back yourself, and it gives you a fresh perspective and you to renew yourself. Yeah, that is what I always look for, and that helps me to create and not give up. Okay, this is one of the forms that I work with, and the form is very simple, this form is nice where you can roll it around. If you're bored with this side, you can turn it around and you can see the other side of it. Yeah, again, I'm doodling on top using ceramic pencils and firing. This is what an installation in Phuping, China last year, a residency. So I did a bigger kind of installation out of 5 of them. And of course, culturally, I've made some exchange, drawing some of their local folklore patterns. And this one is interesting. It's all the artists that were there and their behavior. Okay, this one is, I always love sea life. And I've always been fascinated, and whenever I see National Geographic and things like that, I would be inspired. This is my own version of a giant squid. Yeah, once they had it fished out from Antarctic, I think. Yeah. This is again what I did in Phuping. Because of my double life, so I'm seeing a parallel universe. So instead of making huge works, I'm making half of it. This is not that small, it's about this big. I put a mirror at the bottom where you can see the other side of it, but you can't touch it. It's your parallel universe. And I also like to play with, sometimes it's just the name of human nature. So how can human coexist with nature? So probably I've used the term with a capital N in the middle, human nature as one. So it's the little birds or animals forming a human. Then I had these whimsical things that goes along, embryonics they are. Last year everyone says it's the end of the world, so I went back to the basics. What is the basics of embryonics? What's the basic of life is from the eggs. So for me it's first the eggs instead of the chicken. So yeah, so these are forms, and those are wiggles that I created on a computer because I'm a graphic artist as well. So yeah, those decals that I attach on, yeah, those symbolize the decaying. So it's beginning or the end kind of concept. Just before I came, I've explored something very, very surreal, and it's basically what is happening behind the head. It's everybody, it's like, do you stereotype someone? Do you look at him and imagine this is a person who he is? And yeah, at the back is actually showing who he really is. This guy has stars, and yeah. Sorry, this is what I did here. So it kind of the same thing, but in Malaysia, what happened is, what I can do with this, I can change 2 dimension to 3 dimension. So the perception of art as in painting has become 3 dimension. So yeah, in Malaysia, everyone thinks that pottery is about making flower pots and vase. So this is the things that you can see at the back, which is, it gives you a bit more visual to it, rather than 2 dimension. You cannot see what is behind the person that is drawn in the front or the foreground. Yeah, basically it.
My name is Naomi Clement. I'm going to talk briefly actually about a lot of work which has influenced my work. It's based on an article I wrote while I was at NASCAD, or the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, called SEXSE, Walter Ostrom and the Female Potters of NASCAD. This paper stemmed from a conversation between Walter Ostrom, who was the head of the ceramics department at NASCAD for almost 40 years, and John Gill, who was a visiting artist. And John was saying, during his demonstration, "Gee, Walter, you sure have had a lot of really spunky women, talented women through this program." And I was sort of in my final year of school, and this got me thinking, you start rhyming off the names, and there really have been a lot of phenomenal female potters through NASCAD. And I found this interesting since it had always been headed by male potters. Sara Coot is the first one. She actually came to NASCAD while I was in my final year and did an artist demo. She taught at NASCAD for a few years and currently teaches at Langara College, and I believe taught Erin. She sort of helped develop this whole cut and paste technique, which wheel-thrown elements, cut and darted. Joan Bruno is another potter in Lunenburg. I had the opportunity to work with her as her assistant for several months in the summer. And she now teaches at NASCAD part-time. Her colors and forms have really affected and influenced the work that I make, just this sort of luscious sensibility and always thinking about the use. Katrina Chater is another graduate of NASCAD. She now heads up but she's at the Alberta College of Art and Design. So it was just interesting to me doing this paper, looking at all the different women who've been through this school and how their styles of making had influenced each other, and they've then gone on to teach, at other institutions. Julia Galloway, she studied at NASCAD for a year as a visiting scholar. She actually, Chrisaya, who you'll hear from later, she studied with her, and just sort of thinking about this continuum and how everything, I lost my train of thought, but how you kind of learn through people, even though I've only studied with a couple of them, but their work has really influenced me and my work, and I continue to be inspired by it and their sensibilities. Linda Sikora, who did her undergrad at NASCAD and is now at one of the top ranked schools in the States, the New York State College for Ceramics at Alfred. And again, it's gone on to influence generations of potters in their own right, and Frederica Ron, who currently works out of BC. And throughout you kind of see this bright color sensibility, this cut and paste technique, all functional potters, where the form and the function are deeply entwined. And it is about the functionality of the work. Is as much guiding philosophy as a way of working. So this is some of my early work while I was a student. There you see I was sort of playing along some of these themes, the bright colors, the darted forms, but always using that lens of function to sort of see it by. I'm just going to read a bit from my artist's statement because it really, I think, explains why I make work. I was lucky enough to grow up in a home where the art didn't match the furniture and where I could have my favorite bowl for cereal and another one for tomato soup. So I know that life is different when you choose to surround yourself with objects that already have a story when they reach you. There is a different tenor to your day when you encourage the objects you use to become part of the fabric of your life rather than new accessories. This is some of my current work. Again, really exploring that color and form. And I make pots to add my voice to this story, hopefully creating useful objects that will bring joy to people's daily lives and go on to forge connections and stories of their own. My goal is always that my pots will introduce a little beauty into the world and ideally creating a space where the user can pause to savor a moment of calm in the midst of a busy day. So function is always at the basis of what I do. It's really important to me that my pots function and function well, but also, as I said, bring joy to people's lives through sort of a splash of color, a whimsical handle, etc. These are some pieces that I'm currently, that I finished in the past few months, and I'm looking to explore more like that idea of sets and pieces that can be used for different sort of more ritual aspects, like drinking tea or coffee, celebratory use, flowers in the middle of a dining table, and exploring more the different bright colors and palettes. So it's really exciting to be here at Medalta and see all these artists who you'll get to see their work shortly and be influenced by them. I've loved how much we've been eating because I love to eat, and we've all been cooking a great deal and sharing through that. And I think that's for me, it's a really important part of being a potter is the joy in eating and taking pleasure in those small details in life. As I said, pausing to savor a moment, because we do live in this world where speed and it seems to be valued above a lot else, and I think it's really important to kind of take a moment to enjoy the moment. So these are my pieces. Yeah.
Hello. First of all, I would like to thank you, Medalta and Vipoo, that inviting me here. So my name is Krisaya Leunghanantakul. I'm from Thailand. I teach in at university in Bangkok. So okay, I'm from Thailand, and this is the map of Thailand. And this is like Jane came from Malaysia, and Singapore is here, like Squid and Thomas. So actually, like I haven't been to Malaysia, even if it's very close, because I live in near Bangkok, like here, and only 1 hour from Bangkok to my hometown. And so like my culture is like I love to go to temple to see ornament in the temple, even if like my family is Thai and Chinese mixed together. I love to go to Thai temple or Chinese temple to see like the culture or ritual thing in the temple. And from my dad's side, he's Chinese, was born in Thailand, but my mom, she's Thai. And the color that I bring to my work is from like the flower around Thailand. So like the lotus, the orchid color. And this is like on the right hand side is a Thai ornament that put together on the temple. Like they cut the tile and put it on. And this is my work when I was at Rochester Institute of Technology in USA. So this I talk about the life of people, like a couple that live together. Like for example, like my mom and my dad, he live together. Sometimes they fight, sometimes like they have a problem. When I make this work, I just like understand how couple live together. And this is another work that I made. So I use a coil technique to make the structure, because I would like to represent like a womanhood that like she has a burden to like, pregnant, carry on the baby inside, so I put that on. And then this is another word that I use, uterus form, as a symbol of a woman. So, like each form, I change the ovary and fallopian tube to be a domestic object that women use in the household to represent like what the woman serve her family member needs. So I feel like my mom like sacrificed herself to take care of me and my dad. And like I use this one as like time for breakfast because my mom always cook, like get up early in the morning and cook food for me. And she like, when I was little, she make a dress for me. So I try to like honor her or represent of her, like in my memory. And I put some banana leaf on the uterus form. And this is a butterfly and my pelvis. So I try to think like what is inside of my body. So I use pelvis represent the place that before it come out, And I think like women have strong inside, and when I see pelvis form and butterfly form, I feel like it's almost the same shape, and I feel that like the pelvis form and butterfly form can represent a woman, like you have a strong inside, but maybe people see you very delicate thing, but actually like I feel like woman is very strong person. And this is like I make this word because when I was at home, sometimes like after work I came back home, I did not see my mom. I just feel like, where is my mom? Like because I'm really close to my mom. So I want to do this work for represent like where I come from, like home as a mom, and uterus form as I used to be, like. And this is like the theory of that word. So house is the place, and uterus is the place that I like before I came out to see the world. So, and I put like some decoration under glass. I test the glass with under glass with another different kind of glass. And this is another theory that I try to put like a uterus form with the house to make it like can be functional and can be sculpture at the same time. So this is like my word, and so you can put some flower. And I'll try to make a glass like like different kind of white glass. Each one is different glass, but like white can be different kind of white color. And yeah, and I put this thing to make like maybe installation and like maybe put on the floor. I really like this artist, Vipoo Srivilasa. She said that art does not come from art. Art comes from the problem or the experience that you have. So it's just like when I was at RIT, I went to the library and find her work in the book and read her story. It's just like really impressed about her work, and I feel like after I read her story, I feel strong. So thank you.
How you doing, guys? If I look different tonight, usually you guys see me with big beards, so I look clean tonight. So I'm good for you guys. So tonight we're talking about symmetry and asymmetry, relationship in my ceramics. So it's pretty much a heavy. We start off with the Rorschach. First, pretty much my first impression of symmetry and asymmetry, because you get a whole, and this is actually a food Rorschach. This is someone actually that put, I believe it was chocolate pudding or something, and he decided to squish it along and then got the Rorschach. But it is the first symbol that came up in my work that equaled symmetry. And if we go further on, looking back historically, from NASCAR, we're talking about, it was the faience pottery, French pottery, that first really, for me, figured out symmetry. I looked at the decal, I looked at the blue and white pottery. And it impressed me so much that it was the balance. And then I moved on to Isnik, which was still in its own way symmetrical, but the design, the whole hand-drawn patterns were asymmetrical. So all of a sudden I started saying, okay, the relationship between chaos and beauty and that function between symmetrical and asymmetrical. So my idea started off with the form, which is very symmetrical. So in this case, you're seeing a large platter. And I learned this form from Andrew Martin, who was a visiting artist while I was attending NASCAD. And what I do basically is I just fold it in four, get a pattern, and cut it up, and you get the result. So it's pretty much, you can do this for any style item. This one, large plate, I've been doing a lot of bowls of late. I'm trying to do teapots as well, but it's a little more difficult. I'm trying to figure out, do I want it to be symmetrical or do I want it to be asymmetrical? So the whole pattern and idea is still there. Think forever. So basically, after I get the impression of the paper, I get my design out, I decided I need to put it onto a hardwood template. So I put it onto hardboard, and then after that I would cut it out with a jigsaw and have that nice edge. So I could put clay on it and get the form, go at an angle, cut out the form, and have the perfect shape that comes out of the hardboard. And this is pretty much moving on to my asymmetrical idea, which is pattern-based decoration. So basically right now, I am working with different shapes and lines and filling in the lines, which causes me to think about how is it going to fit the piece, how is it going to work on a mug, how is it going to work on a dish, on the platter, how would I, do I want to transfer it, do I want to decal, do I want to underglaze, do I want to scratch it into the clay? So right now I'm working with that geometric, and basically it's based on my love of moths, because all of a sudden I've been coming here and I've been seeing all these moths inside the studio. So all of a sudden that inspired me. So I decided, okay, what if I look at moth patterns, but since they are more symmetrical, I would follow an asymmetrical pattern, putting it on a symmetrical piece. So I've been following, just quickly just going to my grid pattern, drawing a shape, getting sort of starting off with a template of a moth, and then just drawing into that. So as you see it, you're getting all these shapes, and you can probably figure out which ones they'll go on to better. So basically, my idea is to represent the moth pattern, but I'm sort of turning it into chaotic. Pretty much I'm trying to talk about a dichotomy to show that a control form, usually the one when you do the template, it'll be more industrial, so you're repeating the pattern, because I do mold work. And it'll be repeated once again, mostly through slip casting. So with the form being so symmetrical and repeated, I just needed that extra punch, you could say, just to cause my hand to be put in the pot so it didn't look so industrial. So I think I come out more with the pattern of the moth on the plate, or whatever object I come up with. That's all I got. This is what I'm working on right now, actually. Do a silhouette back to back, so either if it goes on the piece, it'll still be that sort of symmetrical pattern, but if I start working with the asymmetrical too, it'll be so confusing. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Good evening. I'm Vipoo from Singapore.
So, and currently I'm doing my MFA in Taiwan. I'm at the tail end of it. I'm going to graduate next year, February, I hope. Yeah. Going to Taiwan study, I realized at the end of 3 years, what I miss most is Singapore food. So we have, our food culture is very similar to Malaysia, so we have a lot of similarity in our food, and this is a typical, what we call hawker center, which we have like a lot of stalls, and it will be dispatched in lunchtime, dinner time. Okay, my second favorite place in Singapore now is this new tourist attraction, Garden by the Bay. So they have two conservatory, which is the dome on top. So inside they have, although it's sort of man-made, but it's like my favorite place in Singapore now. They have all sorts of different plants, and I love looking at them. So these are some of the photography I take myself when I travel and around my environment. So I really like to look into like the details of the plants. I think these forms and these lines really is related to my works. Like it really influenced me. So, and this is I made this during the first year of my MFA program. And I was doing sculptures then. So my work has got a lot of repeated patterns, and I guess that's from the, like what, you are what you take notice of, so I guess this is a lot to do with the plants that I like. So after that I switched to doing functional wear. So, and I'm still struggling now, but I'm improving. So it's the switch from sculpture to functional. I couldn't, so this is one of the first series, and I still have, in terms of function, they are not really nice to use. I still a lot of like sculpture part inside it. So I'm adjusting. So these are, I incorporate real twigs. So, yeah, and this is like a vessel, so they are separate. Okay, then I went America, Baltimore Clay Works for half a year. So I've been making covered containers, and covered containers have this. I really like covered containers because, to me, I feel that it's the user's intention is either to preserve something, not let it be tainted by the environment, or you are trying to contain it, not let the environment, not let it harm the environment. So to me, it's a really important, because my work has got a lot to do with the environmental issues too. So these are the works I did there. I was exploring more like sculptural form. So these are all little lids that, yeah, and these are wall hang vases. So because I don't have, before I don't do vases, so I don't have like what they should look like and things like that. So I just wanted the user to interact with the vase, and before putting anything, you can take off the lid, put it at the side. So I came up with this series. Yeah. Early this year, American wood fire artist Simon Levin came to our school. So he designed our wood kiln there. So he came to do a firing with us. So these are the pots that came out. I really like it. Yeah. I got a chance to learn how to make molds. I didn't know how to make. So the top ones, they are the first cup mold that I made. I had a lot of fun. So I went on make cups, and this one is the latest one that is from Finland. I did just last month. Okay, now this is about my thesis work. Okay, I collect seeds from my environment. I make mold out of them. So these are the seeds I collected. So they are basically, most of them are from Taiwan. So I join them together. So they are all hollow forms. And so this is a little bit of my working process. Like I make them into vessel shapes and I'm still exploring. So, and I usually don't use much colors, but I still do color tests, see if I will change my mind, but I'm still doing white pieces. So, and also after joining them, part of my process is also to fill the gaps with glaze. So to me, it's more on the mental process that I want to fill it up. So I do multiple firings. So this too, without glaze, just handles and cover, and this is. But I'm still continuing this work. Thank you.
Really influenced me in comparing with thoughts that I made on this. So this is Hans Cooper. He's an English potter. This is one of his spade forms. And as you can see, there's like a heavy, large form on top of a very thick base. And that gives the form kind of a tenuous balance. And it gives it a precarious tenuous balance. So this is my form satellite. It's a vase that I designed after orbiting celestial bodies. I liked the Hans Cooper piece. It's a large form balanced on a small tenuous base. This is Ruth Duckworth, contemporary of Hans Cooper. This form is sculptural, but it definitely harkens back to the vase form. It's a porcelain piece, and it's because of its stature and its asymmetry. It kind of embodies, has a personality. And this is my cliff swallow, which. Also on a small base, kind of sit back, also gives it a personality and kind of like a childlike feel, like it's a little human-like form. This is Lucy Ray. These are all contemporaries of one another. Their work is very similar. Beautiful. This is a potato pot, a oval shape standing on end, and it's an extremely monumental piece, though it's a small scale. The finish is very complex and accentuates the form. And this is a disc form, a vase called Monument that I did in 2011, modeled after the Bennington battle monument from my hometown, an obelisk that is there for the Revolutionary War. So the arch is also another architectural element. And this is Karen Carnes, a fellow Vermonter, who I had the pleasure of meeting at a show that we were both in. In her work, this is a wood-fired piece, a vase, a disc form. Unlike the previous pieces, it's lower down and has a much more grounded feel, although she has the conical elements that lift it up. And this is one of my pieces, Ikebana, Japanese flower vase, and same kind of idea, a low disc form, but instead of adding additive elements here, I cut off the sides and instead of asymmetry, symmetry. This piece. And I feel like it attracts the eye, it draws you in. This is Malcolm Wright, who was also at that show. Whose studio I had the pleasure of visiting. I was very impressed with his wood kiln, a Korean wood-fired kiln, 21 feet long, built in the hillside. And he contrasts the flat sides with the convex disc shapes. This is Tatooine, first in a long series. I made this in 2005. Obviously influenced by Star Wars and the architecture of the planet Tatooine. Sci-fi has a large place in my work. This is a fake ash glaze on top of it. Tatooine 2. Also with this piece I'm contrasting two discs of dissimilar sizes. I feel like that draws a viewer in. So I'll use this opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised on an organic vegetable farm in Vermont. Obviously plants and nature has a good place in my work. This is Tatooine 3 from 2011. It's the last completed work in this series, though it's ongoing. This series. And these are the last paragraphs that I recognize Vivica and Arukino. This is a very simple form. It's applewood ash glaze vase. The form is very simple. It has a lot of breadth and volume, and it's emphasized by the complex and so the last few years I've been working in porcelain. Started working in porcelain, and this has totally changed the character of my glaze palette. So I've simplified my forms a little bit when working in porcelain to emphasize the glaze. And those are some vases that I paid attention to.
My name is Thomas. I come from Singapore. At the moment, I'm studying in Taiwan, trying to complete my MFA. I'm in the same group as Waymin, so we will finish our MFA next year in February. Yeah, I have a pull up this map because every time I talk about Singapore, I want to talk about how small we are as a country. So actually, you can't even see Singapore on the map. Right, so to come to Canada, the sense of scale is really overwhelming, and I never driven like more than 2 hours in my life. So like driving from Vancouver to Medicine Hat was an early experience for me. Yeah. So this is how Singapore looks like at night. It's a really exciting city. Right, we have all culture, 4 different kind of races: the Chinese, Indian, Malays, and the Eurasian. We speak 4 different kind of language, but our main language is English, right? And our second language is Chinese. And if you Google Singlish, you'll find that we have our own local language called Singlish, in which we talk very funny. And I have to bring up this picture of food also because half of this residency is really about food, about cross culture. And if you come to Asia, make sure Southeast Asia, make sure you stop by and give yourself some time to go to the local hawker center, the local markets to actually experience local food, not from restaurants, just local food. Look at the best chicken rice, best mee rebus. Yeah, it's really exciting to actually eat that. And part of living in the country is, in the city is really crazy. I just talked a little bit about it. We have like almost, to own a car is almost impossible for a middle income group. And to drive around the city, you almost like pay at every junction. Right? This is a scene of like electronic road pricing gantry that we have in Singapore. We are close to 100 or maybe 150 now. And Singapore is a very strict and organized country. Yeah, so we have one media dominated by the one ruling party, and if you do something wrong, they will really fine you heavily. And guess what? My brother grew up not eating chewing gum, so chewing gum is actually banned in Singapore. for the last 15 years. This is a picture of our studio before we shut it down to go to Taiwan to study. Yeah, so we managed to get a good space, a good shop house. We live upstairs. This is the facade of the studio. So me and Hui Min, we run pottery classes in the studio and also pottery classes in schools. Yeah, we had this for 4 years until the rent almost like doubled and tripled. Right now it's about maybe like 5,000 every month just to get a very, very small space. Yeah. After we sort of moved our lives to Taiwan and just talk a little bit about Taiwan life. Taiwan is a really exciting country too. If you go by to Taiwan, make sure you stop by the night market, go to the tea farms, go enjoy all the mountain views. And yeah, we had a very good time in Taiwan. So some of our works that we did in graduate school. So what I'm trying to do in graduate school is try to marry the idea about history and the contemporary together. So this is my first experience at Jingdezhen, which we go and dig for saggers. Saggers is actually a vessel to protect another vessel inside. So inside these vessels we have porcelain pieces. So what I'm trying to do is do interpretation of these vessels. And other than that, I try to actually do video projections on clay. So I had this visual projector projecting wireframes on clay, which I manipulate them. So as I'm manipulating the wet clay, I'm actually changing. So I have these wireframes that is actually tangible in my hands. I'm actually shaping it, and I do like a stop motion photography of it. Yeah, so I'm trying to use all this visual vocabulary that I get from the internet, the ideas from fractals, computer-generated arts, stuff like that, and try to translate it into my art making, translate through the human body and making these visuals happen. So this sculpture that I use 3 kinds of neon paint, underglaze, actually paint over them, just trying to do. And what I do is I use also images from the internet, free images from the internet, and actually use this image to project on my ceramic sculpture and taking pictures of them and editing them on the computer. And end of my work will be just an image, right? So I think there's another life that goes on in the computer, that another virtual life that I need. So I try to bring this virtual life into reality. And I also like how accessible we are at this point of time to digital media and technology. So we know about Photoshop, we know about Illustrator. So I'm thinking about how I can use these tools, these digital tools, and work together with ceramics and clay. This image that I made. And also thinking about how can I talk about ceramics by not using ceramics. So this is actually a digital image of a primitive vessel. So what I do is I digitally enhance it. So people walk into my installation, they have to wear the 3D glasses, yeah, to actually experience the work. This is my final slide. This is a final installation that I completed before coming to Canada. So I used 2 video projectors, and I had this like a robotic 3-legged vessels. And actually the human interaction is part of the work, and I take a video as people is coming to see the work. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura McKibben. I just moved here from Vancouver, and I'm here for a year. I just do that, and that's just my process. I'm a very functional potter. I like making work that people can use. This is where I come from. So Vancouver, I just included this. It's actually Vancouver on a particularly nice day and a particularly good view. But for me, the environment is really a big part of my work. So I take a lot of photos. I'm a screen printer, actually, so I use that in my work. And I'm always taking pictures when I walk around. I'm often kind of staring up at the sky or looking down at the ground. And almost all of my functional work, so this is my production, these photos are all taken between my walk from my studio to my house. So they're just trees and birds. Everything is hand-built, so I use still a rolling pin. I don't like to use a slab roller. And hand-painted, and then silk screened. I don't know if you guys know the process, but it's just like how you print a t-shirt. So there's the next image, which will show the original photograph. So this is just right outside my studio. We have a lot of pros, they come. And then transferring this image sort of onto the top. I don't know if you can see that this is actually where that vase came from. So I don't like to edit too much. I really like the images to kind of speak for themselves. And the idea is just that these are all images that we all relate to because we all see them every day. This is the same process, and this was for a show in Toronto at Harbourfront Centre, and it's a cultural centre. And at the time that we had the exhibition, the director asked us to respond to a literary theme because they were having the literary festival. And so this is the punctuation taken from the first pages of different books that really impacted me. This is The Unconscious Civilization of John Nelson Saul. This is Vancouver. This was from an exhibition that I did with a friend, Yasmin Sokolovic. And it was when we had the Olympics in Vancouver. And we started seeing all these made in China souvenirs throughout the city that didn't look like Vancouver at all, and they were made in China. And so we did an exhibition where we both took photos, and then we shared our images together. And then made an exhibition of that. This is a collaboration, and I just include this because you all live here, and I love to collaborate with people. So this is an illustrator friend of mine, John Eisen. Normally he does cartoons and paintings. And so I've just taken some of these images and used them on my plates. I love to do this, and really I think if I could just work with my friends or talented people and not have to make money, that would make me really happy. And still everything is functional. So this is a lighting series. I started getting a little tired of earthenware and just wanted to explore something different. So this is actually porcelainous stoneware. It's not high fire at all. And a friend of mine did these wood toppers. He's a furniture designer for Nexus. And this was for a design show in New York. And again, still, even when I tried to do something conceptual, it's not functional. This was my first residency that I went to Australia. And these were thrown actually by Alana McPhee, who will be here next month, and was here last year. And so these are similar, just taking photographs of the walk and looking around. And just graphically, Australia is so different than here. Everything is really harsh and kind of pointy and well, very graphic. And then I went to Denmark, and I was really struck in Denmark how they have no fences and they have a lot of fruit trees. So it was spring when we were there, and you could go into the backyard or into the park and pick things all the time. So every day we picked figs. And this was my first attempt at slip casting, which I never did again, but I cast a whole bunch of figs and nuts and things. And then this was a trip to Finland. I just want to show this. So technically, I usually do screen printing, and this is a new process I've been using, which is a polymer plate. And so you still take a photograph, but you can prepare your image in a relief. So instead of having a very direct image, it's more of just a slight impression. And that's what I'm going to be working on a lot here as well. This is something a little different. This is shellac. And this was, so just an idea sort of where my sources come from. This came up over a dinner. We were at someone's house, and he just mentioned that his great-grandfather had written a book of poems. And so he gave me this book of French poems. And then all of my work for that whole show was just these amazing poems from this old book that someone's great-grandfather wrote. And it's really just about the connection that you make with people. This is what I did in Medalta 2 years ago. So I just went through the archives and found these old images, took photos at Highcroft. And coming from Vancouver, which is kind of new and they tear everything down, to here where they really keep the old things around, and then the landscape is so different. I'm really, really excited about the year to come because I'm not sure how that will change my work. So this I sort of fired here as well. I really like these pieces. And they're all still those same finish. These are all pussy willows. But just that, I guess when I go to residencies, I'm very technical. There's always just something new I want to learn. And so when I came, it was sort of firing. That's super nice. And this is what's on my spoons, if anyone saw the spoon show. And I'm just leaving with this quote because this I saw when I was in Stockholm in a museum of an American print artist. And it just, what he talks about is really what my work is about. That when you make functional work and you send it off to people, you don't really see how they're going to use it or who they give it to, but that actually your work still impacts them. So,
the emails that I have to handpick the best Southeast Asian artists, 5 of them to come and join the fun here. Then the task begins of searching the best artists from Southeast Asia. I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of Facebook friends, and I have a lot of Facebook fans. So it's really hard to choose 5 people. So I decided to start with first, the people who I invited has to be an artist that make a really good work, because they have to represent their own country. If they make crappy work, then their country kind of crappy. And the second category that I put in is they have to be a good cook. You could ask every one of them how many times that I strayed in the email that you have to learn how to cook before you come here. If you don't know how to cook, better practice. If you're really bad at cooking, bring all your spice. And then did. Because I'm thinking like, my thought is that cultural exchange is not just working together, but eating together. Food is the best tool for cultural exchange. People love food, people love cooking, and when they're eating together, that's when the culture starts exchanging. And boy, how many exchanges we have here. At the back of my studio, we have a calendar. It states what lunch and dinner we're planning to cook each day for the next 3 weeks. So we take turn cooking. We make Thai food, we make Malaysian food, and then we have Canadian food. We have poutine, original poutine, traditional poutine, proper cheese. We have bacons and maple syrups. First time ever that I dip crispy bacon into maple syrup. Delicious. We also have traditional Canadian food, toasted grilled cheese sandwich with pickles and tomato soup from Campbell. So traditional. I have to mention that the pickle is homemade by me. First day I arrived here, I did the pickle workshop because I would like eating pickles, but I have no idea that it takes 3 weeks before I can eat it. So today is the 3 weeks day, so we eat a whole lot of them. It was so fun to have friends around here, but to me, because I've been here before, so I know like they have like 2 sides. One is short-term residency, another side is long-term residency. My goal is somehow try to make the 2 sides get together, connect with each other. What the best thing to do apart from cooking is we should have the same objective. So I come up with the idea that we have a spoon competitions. Right now you probably wonder what the hell are these images. Not related to my talk at all. But this is the result of our competitions. It started by like little small thing, like I thought, like everybody make a spoon, put it together and we vote who's the winner. So I'm the first one making spoon and make a really good spoon. I take photo of my spoon and start showing people. And then people see my spoon, they get competitive. So they make a better spoon than my spoon. And then they take photo of their spoon and show again. So the more I show, the better the spoon is. And boy, what happened? My spoon looked really crappy. So I have to make like, I think like 4 times to get the spoon done. And I get 1 vote. Very sad. But all this spoon is from us. We spend a lot of time making them. It's so, to me, it's so amazing, like how much time and how much energy people put in their spoon. Look at these pieces. The spoon's still in the studio. Do you want to have a look? But hopefully it will be exhibit in Missouri sometime. And to me, I think the residency here is very successful because we, the both sides of long-term residency and the short-term residency, get to know each other really well. And we have a lot of interactions and through food, through driving together, through shopping together. And sometimes we're making work together as well. Because we get close together, then we start exchanging the technique ideas, and we feel more comfortable to critique each other's work. So I think Aaron is very successful to invite Southeast Asian artists to come, especially me. And I have to thank Laura because I'm here really because of her inviting me for the first, from the beginning. Also I have to thank Barry that lets me come back here again. 2 years ago I told Barry that you should have massage for artists. But this time, still no massage. But that made me think, if next time I've got to do the invitation again, apart from artists have to make good work, good cook, they have to be a good masseur. You agree? And this is the director's spoon. Aaron Nelson. This is really hard because I'm leaving tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. So this will be my last night. It's kind of nice that you guys come in and say farewell to me. But I think Medalta has like a really special place in my heart. With the rivers and the bike ride, and have you tried that before? That was the main reason I come back when Aaron invited me. I want to do the bike ride again. Last time I was here, I ride every morning from my house to the studio. But here, the second time, it took like 1.5 weeks before I get my first bike. By that time, I kind of like, all right, yeah, give up. And then my house is like up on the hill. So to ride the bike up, I have to walk because I can't ride up to the hill. So my dream about bicycle is like being shattered. That means I have to come back again to find my dream.